Welcome to B, the only podcast that comes with a free Bandits bonus.
Express delivery included.
LaTB, where MMA and UFC gets silly. This is the LaTB podcast.
Welcome back. Episode 228. We're going to Uruguay for the first time ever. We're going to be headlining a fun fight card. It's going to be 13 card bout, ESPN Plus 14. Be sure to look at your local listings and subscribers. You know we're going to get into it. You know it's another week. We have a lot of dirty debuts. We got a lot of short notice replacements. We've had some more talk about the Colbys in the next 170-pound division and all of this stuff, but I don't know too much more interesting news that's been coming of late. How have you been since we last met before we get into this breakdown?
Doing all right. Nothing huge over on this end. Let me see. Let me rack my brain.
Was it Weidman versus Dominic Reyes? Is that officially now on the books? Feel like that was one that was recently announced. That seemed fun.
Yeah, that is a
205.
Who do you have right now in that?
I'm gonna say Weidman.
Wow.
Yeah, he's moving up from 85.
Off
he's
your
doing
hype
it.
Train.
Yeah. Oezdemir won that fight, which we're gonna have a little reappearance throughout the night of that. No time, getting it in there.
Ooh, I don't know if I have Dominic Reyes or not. I want to everybody Is this at 205?
205. Ooh. Weidman's moving up from 85. Rockhold didn't make it.
I don't know if Weidman will either.
He just got knocked out off of his last one. So.
And there was another Qatar versus Zabit.
I did see that. Is that official? Did we end up retweeting that on LaTB_MMA?
I think it is official.
And a couple other ones. Was it Sergio Pettis versus Nate Diaz officially has come out as well?
That's been out, right?
Has it been out?
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's happening soon.
Way closer than I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, I've just been waiting for one of those guys to drop out. You know how they like to do.
Yeah. I'm surprised it's still happening.
That's exactly it, where I'm like, oh, wow, really? It's around the corner. So, we've been doing a lot. There's been a lot going on, but there was a lot of tape study. A lot of Latin American fighters, again, making their debut. We're going to have some interesting bouts. There was some Dana White Contender Series fights, spots to make money as underdogs, but people have been asking if we can get out information on those Dana White Contender Series fights, and unfortunately, especially on this type of fight card that we have in Latin America, I have to do so much other tape study that I can barely watch stuff and have a confident pick on those Dana White Contender Series in time. And there's not enough time in the day to look up.
Maybe one day.
When we get there.
There's the goals.
Exactly. So, with the support of all of you guys, thanks for liking and subscribing. We are seeing it. It does help those hours tick by that much easier. Anything else before we get into this 13 card bout that has been everywhere?
It's so long. This is the only thing I'll say. It's such a long fight card. I almost feel like we should spend time where it's worthy to spend time. So I will try not to add anything. I will try not to duplicate your thought. And we will try to zoom right through. And our girl is fighting.
Woo! Number 2, Liz Carmouche against Valentina Shevchenko, the gorilla marine herself, first gay athlete in the UFC, openly gay at least. So, Liz Carmouche never got the credit she absolutely deserved. She did finish Valentina, but we're going to get there. That's going to be a really interesting run. Well, Dr. finished Valentina, so I must watch my words wisely. I apologize. I apologize there. So, we have had quite a mix-up in Uruguay the first time we're going to be down there. We have to worry about the commission. We have to worry about the juice, because it is going to be loose. And the stadium. Gotta know what's going to happen. Do they have AC? What time frame? It's going to be over in the States here on the East Coast at 5 p.m. So it is going to be a bit different. Is it going to be for them at 4 a.m. main event type of a card?
Ugh. That is weird. That is really... where is it? What?
Time zone?
Yeah.
I feel like it's in Brazil area is Uruguay.
I know. I wonder
right above
if
it.
you look down Where is that? It's got to be close. I'll find out while you're...
While we talk about some of the fights that ended up falling out, we had Evan Smith against Talina Santos. We had Macedo versus Rachel Ostovich. That fell out due to injury as well. Against Alex Silva, we had Fiziev fall out due to injury. And then Klitschko.
They're an hour ahead of us.
Oh, okay, so it'll be 6. All right, so it's not going to be too crazy. It's not going to be off, but they are going to be at sea level as well, I believe.
That's good to know. We're always giving you little odd facts here. Like, you can go and impress somebody at work and just be like, did you know? What time do you think it is in Uruguay right now? So if it's an hour ahead of us, it would be like...
6 p.m. For them.
Yeah, the same time zone as Mississippi.
Mississippi's behind us. We're over here on the Florida East Coast.
Oh, one ahead. So there's nothing ahead of us on the continent.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Okay. So it's a hour ahead of us at 6 p.m. for their local standard time over there. The 13-card bout, though, is going to start off at 125 pounds with Paulina Viana versus Veronica Macedo. This is some low-level WMMA. I mean, both of these ladies have had very spotty records, if I could even say that. I mean, both of them coming off of losing streaks. It was Viana who's coming in as a slight favorite. My tag just fell completely dead. They're both coming off of losing streaks. So we had Paulina Viana coming off of a 2-fight losing streak. She is 10-3, losing 2 of those in the UFC to JJ Aldridge and Hannah Cyphers in a split decision as a big favorite as of late. Veronica Macedo is 5-3, losing 3 in a row in the UFC to Jillian Roberts submission, Andrea Lee, Ashley Evans Smith. We have the Venezuelan 23-year-old coming in with out of factory MMA with some type of a ground game. Her punches are really just straightforward. She kind of bends at the elbow, doesn't move her head all that much. On the ground, was beating a lot of cans earlier, and now that she's actually at UFC level, she's just not progressed as much. Again, she's young at 25 years old. Or 23 years old. We're going to see a big step up in level from her, especially if she starts to get stateside training. But as of yet, we still just haven't seen that jump. Roberts really got her to the ground easily and showed her deficiencies on the ground, and she's a ground fighter. So Viana hasn't showed too much of that. She's been more of the stand-up striker. She has power, but not too much of a gas tank. She has a better striking acumen here.
I'm totally thinking about something else, and I feel like that's what I'll be doing during this fight.
Not paying attention.
Yeah. So I heard you say this is such a low level MMA at the beginning, and I was like, it didn't even matter that your screen was gone. Like, this fight, I'm going to stay away from.
Always LaTB rule number 1. But the winner should be Viana here. She's a better striker, and on the ground, she could keep it off of the ground if she needs to. The scrambles on the ground are going to be gross and disgusting. Low level scoring fight. You're right. We need to move on from this piece. It is Macedo as the favorite, 8,600 on DraftKings. Against for Macedo, 7,600.
I agree with you everywhere.
Decision is what I got.
Everything that you said. And I heard that first thing that you said, and I'm like, it is really low level, slow moving. Everything is...
gross. Yeah. Greasy. Absolutely grease fight.
Hashtag stay away. Stamp. Like, if there was a big stamp and I had a stamp noise, it would go...
Do you think a Venezuelan or a Brazilian has more leverage in Uruguay?
I don't even want to get involved in that geopolitics.
So, for 8,600, are you going to put Viana anywhere against Macedo 7,006?
Again.
0.
Stay away.
At welterweight, we have a short notice replacement. From 155 pounds, we have Gilbert Burns moving up to 170 pounds. First time ever against Alexei Kunechkeo. Alexei's coming in as the Wolverine at 35 years old. He is a perfect 20-0, winning his debut against Thiago Alves at 170 pounds, then beating Yushin Okami in a decision 8 months ago. It is the ghost of Yushin Okami as well, so can't really take too much away from that. If anything, the fact that he didn't finish Yushin Okami at this point in his career is actually more telling. Wolverine likes to keep it standing. He'll throw a lot of spinning back fists in there. Has got a good sprawl on the ground. He's serviceable, but doesn't really like to keep it there. He really will disengage and just keep it on the feet, and is okay with winning a striking bout. He's okay with winning a point fight, and will stay on the outside to do that. He did it to Thiago Santos as well, and never really get anything going, but there's nothing that jumps out at me. I don't see a contender in Alexei here. I see him potentially winning other fights, but now that he has a real contender at 155 pounds, it is a short notice replacement, and Burns has been on a bit of a roll, being 15-3, only losing in the UFC, last beating Aban Mercier in the decision, Mike Davis in a submission, losing to Hooker in a TKO, but beating other people in the UFC. That Hooker fight is where you got to put a little bit more of attention, because Hooker tends to be more that 170 frame. He's a bigger guy. Most 170 pounders are that Hooker size, and that's where Kunchkayo is at 5'10". Hooker, I believe, is in that 5'10", 5'11" range. So Burns had issues with that range of Hooker, especially with that knee, those intercepting body shots, and the Russian can throw those, but Gilbert Burns on the ground has a distinct advantage here, especially on the back. Alexei has been able to survive, but against this level of black belt and the power of striking, I think that Alexei here, staying on the outside, he's going to end up winning the point acumen, but I feel like the harder shots here are going to be for Burns. I feel actually him moving up from 55, his gas tank has always been a little iffy. I don't know if this benefits it moving up, but we know his brother just won on the Dana White Contender Series, and maybe I'm going into the narrative a bit more, but he said after winning his contract that, hey, when we were kids in Brazil, every time we fought in the same week, we both won. So I did my part. Let's go, Gilbert. You're going to do yours. And he was on his way down to help his brother out in Uruguay. So I'm actually picking the underdog here. I think Burns can get it to the ground. I've liked his double legs as of late, and his striking is a bit looping, but that's because he throws tons of power into it. I think the 55er really shows out. He's not going to have to drain his body and going to be able to let loose in there. He doesn't mind going to the ground, so that allows him to be a little more aggressive in his strikes. I think he needs that in a point fighter. Give me the underdog. If you need one, you're going to get them. You're going to get many more, because it's that type of night. There's money to be made. There's money in them hills in Uruguay. So be ready. Give me Burns in the decision, if not finish.
I see Burns just dragging him down again and again, and kind of even he changes levels well, and he has more than one takedown option. I just think he has the better wrestling, so he's going to get him down and hold him down. I don't know about the cardio or anything, or if it's not going to be as hard of a cut. I hope there is something that makes him have to go through the ritual of it. And I don't like the knockout against Dan Hooker, but I like Dan Hooker. I think Dan Hooker is a sneaky good guy to watch coming up, so I don't think that's a... Alexei is a big guy, and he's a big 170-pounder. I just think he is past his tenure, and...
The ghost of Yushin Okami is not a competitor.
But I don't like Burns taking it. Makes me think they have a website on the UFC employment page that's like, we need a fight, and it goes up and you can click apply, and it sends your name in to it. It just seems such an odd choice of a fight for him to take. Second fight of the night in Uruguay. Very fast fight to take. The
opponent fell out for Alexei, so they just asked, and he was like, all right, I'm willing to fight. Some of these, if it was Donald Cerrone, you wouldn't think twice about it. You'd just be like, yeah, that's what he does.
I would.
Oh, interesting.
I think Gilbert Burns is getting up there as far as a name is concerned.
True.
That fighting this early in a fight card against a guy that, no offense to Alexei Kunitchenko, that doesn't do anything for him. Unless Gilbert Burns is really curious about how he fares at 170. And it just walk in his opinion, against the scrub and see how he does.
I totally agree with you, and I was about to say that as well. He might be testing himself to be like, man, why am I cutting to 170? Because he's also 5'10". Just throwing that out there. But I also feel like these are skewed because freaking who's himself? I feel like Uriah Faber's like, I'm 5'6" or something like that. He is not.
I think he's going to have the better
Burns
hands.
Burns is 5'8".
I think he's going to kind of look better everywhere. It's just
I agree.
muscle-wise, he's not filled in. But I always thought Gilbert Burns was an enormous guy for 155.
That's what I think as well.
So I'm right with you. I think that's a great underdog pick. I got Burns decision, too.
Decision. I could see a submission also in that second or third round for Burns, so I might end up moving that before the week's out. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying for the slight favorite in Alexei Wolverine, 8,800 against Gilbert Burns, 7,400. I mean, I feel fairly confident in it, especially when I'm leaning more towards the side of a finish for Burns submission. Because Alexei, I don't see finishing at all here.
No.
So it's a decision win for him at best. At 8-8, I don't see that. He's averaging 61 points, but that's against in middling competition, if we could say that. So interesting point we're going to end up being in, or fact we're going to be in there. I think I'm going to end up having Burns on probably around, I'm going to say 30 to 40% of my cards. I feel like I'm steadfast. I don't think I'm going to change my mind later as the week goes on.
So Burns came in last minute, or does the fight card just change order?
It was probably about 3 weeks ago Burns came in. So enough to have a little bit of a camp to get that cardio going, but he doesn't have to cut the weight because let's say he was at 55, there's 3 weeks of just cutting weight. That's not getting better. Yeah. So now he doesn't have to do that. Now he's just like, all right, he probably has to cut like 6 or 8 pounds. So.
I'm interested, but he's a dark horse. It's just surprising to me. I think he's killing it at 155.
I agree.
So.
I agree. Interesting fight. That's going to be a fun one, though. We should keep our eyes on that. At 155 pounds, we have debuting Rodrigo Vargas at 11-2 against Alex da Silva. The debuting Vargas is coming off of a 2-fight winning streak, only getting one of his losses as of late in a split decision, but he was fighting out of Combates America, fighting Mark De La Torre, beating him a year ago via TKO. The Mexican fighter is powerful. He likes to throw overhand rights. Orthodox fighter will throw a kick in there, but it's really like 1 and 2 punch combinations, and he does slow down, especially going into that third round. He likes to ground and pound heavily. He will bowl his opponents over with power doubles, but they're not really doubles. He just again runs through you, more freight trains over you, and uses just that momentum against the level competition he's been fighting. It's been working to an extent. De La Torre, I believe, had a little bit of a stint in the UFC, but really didn't make much of himself. Ended up watching that fight. It was competitive up until, I believe, a kick started off the beginning to the end for punches. And against a 20-2 fighter, De Silva hasn't looked half bad in there, losing his debut in the UFC against Alexander Volkalev in a submission 3 months ago. Volkalev was much higher of a fight caliber, had much more competition and level in there, and really showed his ground game deficiencies. But Silva, as much as Vargas, is also a power striker. He's a Muay Thai fighter with limited takedown defense, but it is there. And against Vargas' takedowns, I don't really see Silva being stuck on the ground much or even be getting taken down. I see this turning into a striker's delight, but this is who goes down first. I think the Mexican fighter is going to get in his face and try to stun him, and Silva has the level of Muay Thai and knees, kicks. He's actually much more fluid with his kicks in there. So the limited striker I see Vargas being here, he's more of just a boxer wrestler, and I see Silva being more of the jiu-jitsu Muay Thai Brazilian. I got Silva decision, but I think this is a volatile fight right now. I could see myself switching for a finish. I think Vargas does keep his head on the center line a little bit more out of the two fighters, but he will take a shot to give a shot because he doesn't believe his power. This is going to be a fun one to watch. I think I'm going to end up going TKO round number 2 for Silva. I had decision earlier. This is going to be a fun one. I could see myself having Vargas on a couple just in case this goes the other way, because they're going to be swinging. These boys are going to make it fun in here. Who do you have in this fight and why?
I have De Silva decision. I'm just nervous about his age and IQ getting the best of him in there, so I think he's going to come out too amped to finish him. Not that he's not going to punch until the end. I just think the punches are going to lose power. So I just have him to finish by decision. Vargas, welcome to the UFC, but never count a good Mexican out.
Great point.
Especially in a stand-up style that you want to bang for 3 rounds. It could be a dangerous place for De Silva. So I have decision De Silva to remind me to stay away from this fight.
The decided favorite, De Silva, minus 260, 9,200 on DraftKings against the debuters, plus 200, 7,000 for Vargas on DraftKings. Do you see yourself playing either of these fighters?
Nope.
I actually see 20% Silva, 10% Vargas, just because I think this one might not go the distance. And for that matter, it's like, all right, one of those guys might show out pretty good on there. Another guy that's going to probably end up showing out at 135 pounds, we have Chris Gutierrez coming in against Geraldo de Freitas. De Freitas has had a 12-4 record, winning his debut against Felipe Corrales, who just won as a big underdog recently. But De Freitas comes in as a Brazilian wrestler, essentially. Well, jiu-jitsu guy, okay striker, doesn't mind going to the ground, but sometimes is just willing to scramble on the ground there. Striking-wise, he moves one-dimensionally. He's not going to come at you with a crazy kick out of nowhere. He'll throw actually 2 and 3 punch combinations in there, move to a good double leg takedown, and that's what actually worked against Corrales. He can't keep up a good level of pace in there, and it's really worked out for him. De Freitas' cardio has probably been one of his biggest advantages throughout, is him just not refusing to stop for that takedown and get you to the ground and try to stay there. Against Chris Gutierrez, the 13-3 fighter, he has won as of late against Ryan McDonald in the decision 4 months ago. Prior to that, he lost his debut on short notice against Hani Barsolas in a rear naked choke 8 months ago. But Gutierrez has been on the XFN scenes, LFA. He's had some fun tape to study. Good striking acumen. Picks apart that front leg as good as anybody I've seen in there. Great boxing throws, 4 and 5 punch combinations in there. On the ground, actually pretty nasty. Rolls through fairly well off of his back. He'll throw up triangles or just keep a lot of movement. Has a good wrestling base under him. So against Freitas here, I feel like Freitas' biggest advantage is going to be the gas tank. Gutierrez slows down out of the two, but he carries such a higher pace and does more damage at range out of the two fighters that I feel like Gutierrez gets off to a good start and runs with a heavy lead as far as striking. I don't think De Freitas is going to be able to take down Gutierrez. De Freitas could take out another Brazilian in there, but now you're fighting against an American with wrestling credentials. So, especially with the leg attack that Gutierrez throws in there, if he goes to that low calf kick early.
In a devil's vagina of a soul patch.
He's going to definitely do work in there. I think Gutierrez actually keeps it where he wants it. I see this as a finish, round number 2. I was going to say submission, but I could see it being a TKO as well. If it's a submission, it's because Gutierrez hurts him and then jumps on a guillotine, which he likes to do.
Freitas has a weak body, and I think Gutierrez can exploit it. I think Gutierrez is going to pick him apart from the top to the bottom. I don't see a finish here necessarily, but I do see a decision with a decent amount of points. I think Gutierrez tends to be a guy that likes to stand and bang and can lay out a lot of DK bullets. Oh, that's not good to say right now.
De Freitas ended up scoring, though, 120 in his debut, 126 because of the amount of takedowns he was throwing out there.
Huh?
It was takedown heavy, but against another Brazilian.
Yeah.
But Gutierrez
Freitas did that?
Did Freitas, but it's against a Brazilian, not against an American Mexican wrestler.
Actually, though, I'm a little nervous about Gutierrez's takedown defense and his takedown anywhere on the ground. So it makes me nervous when you just told me that statistic. It makes me want to jump right off the Gutierrez train onto the Freitas train. I might have to play both these guys on separate cards.
I was liking what you're saying. I'm going to probably be playing Gutierrez pretty heavy here. De Freitas being the slight favorite at minus 135, 8,300 on DraftKings.
What's Gutierrez's points average?
Average, he's scoring 38 in his loss initially. 13 points, his win, 64 points in a decision as of late against McDonald in there. But as I'm saying, I'm thinking this is just a contrast of fight acumen. I mean, Gutierrez is fighting legitimate level fighters in there and doing well, where I think the Freitas hasn't had that level of competition, and he scored well, but again, against a semi-unproven fighter, even though he just won his other fight.
And because Gutierrez has lost to submission in the past.
Right. Very
if
true.
I'm his coach, I say stay off the ground with this kid and stay standing. Keep pushing him away. 100%. Stay standing. Push him away. Stay standing. You'll pick him apart from the outside. Oh, please listen, Gutierrez.
If he throws that calf kick, it's going to be really fun one in there. 8,300 though for Freitas against Gutierrez is 7,900. The plus 105 underdog.
I'm going to be playing both guys on different cards, but I got Gutierrez decision right now.
I agree. You wanted another underdog? I'm giving you another underdog.
Because if he can't get taken down, then he is going to win on the feet.
I totally agree with that. 100%. So, another underdog if you needed one on there.
All right. Oh.
Another one. Then we're going to move on to 125 pounds where we have returning Rulian Paiva against Rodrigo Bertonen. The 15-1 Bertonen is only loss via submission choke. He won his debut against prospect Magomed Bibliatov in a split decision 6 months ago. He won his Contender Series fight via submission. The Bertoni coming out of Brazil is, what's this guy's nickname? What does he go by on the side? Nothing. So Bertonen in here has a heavy right hand, orthodox fighter, throws ones and twos, uppercut every once in a while in there. What other things did I find on tape on him? He'll bull in as well with that right just to go in for the takedown. It's really just a double leg. He doesn't really switch to a single so much. He just kept a lot of pressure on the Russian fighter, and that was fairly controversial split decision. The Russian fighter landed a lot of spinning back kicks on Bertonen. It was just the fact that Bertonen in there was able to get up off the ground from the Russian and keep it close striking-wise. So going to decision in there wasn't bad. But in that fight, Bertonen showed a great chin as well and good fight IQ. He can keep it in that type of sparring mentality in there. And he's done that in a lot of fights, but his prior competition prior to that hasn't been the best in there. Against Paiva, coming in with an 18-2 record, losing his debut in the UFC against Kai Kara France in a split decision. So he went on the bad side of it, where a lot of people actually had Paiva winning that fight. A lot of people said that if Kai Kara France wasn't in New Zealand or Australia, wherever it was, that it wouldn't have went that way. And I would agree with that, especially after watching that fight. France was hurt multiple times, couldn't get the takedown, and then when he was on the takedown, he was in a submission defense mode, almost getting submitted multiple times. I think Paiva really showed out in there. He had a heartbreaking story. His girlfriend died a few months before while he was driving the bike and all that. So he's a guy who is 23 years old, definitely made a name for himself on that last fight. And against Bertonen, I feel like Bertonen is a journeyman all around, is going to give you a tough fight, but there's nothing that really jumps out at you, where Paiva has good takedown defense, not good takedowns. On the ground, he's serviceable, but Paiva has that power where if you go back and watch France, who has a fairly good chin, France at times in there was like, holy shit, this guy just hit me with a ton of bricks. And I think Bertonen is going to feel that in there.
He really steps into it.
He really does. This guy, you can see people are like, whoa, it's definitely a fun one we're going to get on our hands. If you needed another underdog for the night, give me the 23-year-old Paiva, round number 2. Woo! This is going to be a really good night or a really bad night. I'm thinking it's going to be a good night. I'm thinking I'm going to be cashing out with the underdogs.
I have Bontorin, but I had Paiva before you started talking, and then I switched to Bontorin while you were talking, and the only reason I give him an edge is usually when two guys are from the same place, people have the odds a little better because they're fighting the same people. And I don't know if these guys have anyone in their past that they've fought. But I like everything that you just said right then. That's very swaying. I feel like Paiva might be the best underdog so far of the night.
I feel like if matchups make styles, I mean they both match fairly competitively.
Matchups make styles.
That was pretty rough. My bad. But in this styles matchup here, yeah, I see the guy with the more intangibles, the guy that's going to be able to throw a little bit more in there is going to be Pava. This is pretty much a coin flip, slight favorite for Bertonen, minus 135, 8,200 on DraftKings against Pava's, plus 105, 8,000 even on DraftKings. I feel like on this card, with the type of favorites and stuff we had, these middling guys these are going to be your solid guys. And I see finishes in this middling range so far. And I got a finish for Pava, round number 2.
Such a little dude. Such a little dude. Did he take that on short notice? Silva versus Adesanya.
No, he was just coming back from heartbreak essentially. But he had to like stop a fight or get out of a fight prior to that.
Gosh, I like what you're saying. I want to switch right now. I'm gonna Pava decision though. Decision. I don't see the finish.
Are you going to let weigh-in sway you on any of these?
Not for the little guys like this.
Oh, interesting. Are you going to give any type of height, any type of due diligence? Because we do have a 3 inches for Pava over the 5'5", Bertonen. But I feel like Bertonen's fought multiple other taller guys in there.
Honestly, I'm not going to go so heavy on this early in the night anyway that meh.
Okay. I don't think that's bad at all. I feel like...
How many points are they both average?
Let's see here. It is an average of 66 for Bertonen against 36s for Pava.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of stay away from it. I may speckle both guys in different places. If right now I don't feel headstrong about anything.
Totally agree. That it's a close fight. These are close fights. They're coin flips as far as the betting lines. They're pretty much going to be even money because, there's intangibles when you're starting off this fresh in Uruguay. At, though, 115 pounds, we have strawweights coming in. Tisha Torres, the tiny tornado against Marina Rodriguez. Rodriguez with an 11-0-1 record, getting that majority decision draw to Marcos, then coming back and beating Jessica Aguilar in a decision 4 months ago. Aguilar looked like a punching bag in there, just moving forward, not able to take down Rodriguez. Rodriguez showing out her takedown defense. The 32-year-old is long, stays at a good distance. Her volume isn't bad. She can land over 100 strikes over a 3-round fight. She doesn't shoot takedown. She likes to keep it standing transitionally on the ground. She's just a little bit longer than ladies at this division, being 5'6". She looks taller in there, but you don't have to worry about her getting down there. And especially against Tiny Tornado, we know what we're getting with the 10-4 longtime champion contender in there, losing to Li Jiang. She lost as a contender to Joanna for the belt. So that's a contender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A long-time contender.
As long as the division, I mean, she started the division. She was more like the second lady in.
Would you call Esparza a long-time contender?
Yes. She won the belt. Esparza had the belt.
Yeah,
she literally had
just
the belt.
because somebody had a belt, in my opinion, doesn't mean they could still, I don't call
They still
Robbie a
contend.
contender for the
Yeah, that's
belt.
a great point. I see Torres still being able in a fight or two, being a contender as well. That's why I feel like she's not far off of it.
Huh.
But that's because
I can't see that for her at all. But yeah, she's fought a lot of beasts.
She has fought a lot more beasts, especially more so than Rodriguez. And Rodriguez likes to keep it standing and is a lesser fighter here. Torres is smaller than everyone, but she's used to that. She's fighting out of American Top Team. We know we're getting with the heavy strike acumen.
That she beats who's homegirl from Florida that state in
Jillian Roberts?
No, Amanda Nunes is homegirl.
Oh, Asnaroff? They're
Yeah.
at different weight classes.
No, Azaroff runs 115.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why am I thinking that they were at different weight classes?
Oh, damn, you heard him!
I want to say that Nina wins that fight.
I think so too.
Yep. But it's a close decision. But that's Tisha Torres. to a T. She's in dirty splits. She's a dirty split queen. And more than likely, she should be able to just out volume and keep this at bay. I see Tisha Torres being better everywhere on the ground. It's not going to get there. Decision, Torres. I don't see a finish here. I see probably staying away for 8,700. There's no way I put Torres anywhere. Rodriguez might be a stab in there for 7,500, but she beat Aguilar. Tisha Torres would beat Aguilar, correct? And that was at 125, I believe.
I like Tisha Torres. If she actually gets on her mode, she's fought a lot of beasts, like we were saying. If she actually gets in her zone, I'd be curious to how many points she got against like Michelle Watterson. Like, what was her point level of winning that decision instead of the average of the losses against monsters? I don't know if you can look back that far. That's
she ended up scoring in a win over Watterson 85 points.
That's kind of the level of points I think she's going to get on this. And I actually think for 8-7, I might play Tisha in places. To me, so far, she's one of the safety plays of the night. Like, you need those mid-range players, and I trust her to do work here. I trust her to put it all together here. I like the way Rocky looked in her last fight. I think that says a lot about what's going on with her camp right now. So, give me the Tiny Tornado by decision.
Totally agree as far as being the most solid in the night. I know she's only a, minus 155 favorite, but I feel like actually the line's off there. I feel like that could easily be over 2, and I'd still be comfortable with putting money on Tojers.
It's her record. But...
Oh, yeah, against beasts in there, I, again, don't see too much of a shot, but it's a decision type of a fight all the way around. On to the headlining preliminary bout at 265 pounds. We have one of those dreaded double debuts. You thought we weren't going to get one, and we are headlining at 265 pounds. What is going on, UFC? You guys are bringing in someone to get murdered in here. We have debuting Cyril Gain against Rafael Pessoa. Pessoa being a perfect 9-0. At 30 years old, he's been fighting trash cans. He does have his last fight, TKO punches, over a 31-16 fighter, but that guy had a padded ass record as well. But he's fought 0-1, 0-2 guys, 0-0 guys, and got knockouts in there. And the 30-year-old, in, what's his name, Bebeziao. Rafael in there is a bit tall at 205, but he's got that dad belly. He looks like he could lose weight. He looks like he's a 205er that just doesn't cut that weight because he's big enough to, at 6'3", to fight other big guys, but he keeps his head literally straight up.
Who just went down to
205?
Yeah, big black dude. He has an afro now. He used to have short hair.
Not Corey Anderson. He went down to 85.
No, not him. He used to be chubby looking, and now he has a hot body on him. And we're like, damn, look at him all stepping out. Now he's winning all his fights, too.
Oh, Khalil Roundtree?
It might be Khalil, but there's...
I could be wrong on that,
Khalil,
too.
Khalil, I felt like always had a decent body.
Yeah, true. Well, that was right.
Anyways,
You're
I'll
right.
think
You're
of
right.
it. You go on.
You will. But here in Rafael, he again has tall man defense. When he strikes, he throws also from his elbows, not tons of power. Doesn't throw kicks in there. He really just kind of like stutter step and like...
I feel like we might have saw him knock out someone. We might have watched him knock out someone, the guy I'm talking about.
Oh, in Florida or something? You might be right on that. Keep on thinking of it. But Rafael in here, again, level of competition super low, and just somebody who's really low level. Even at heavyweight, I don't see him going far. I just see him being somebody to be served up to a lot of other people. On the ground, I saw him landing elbows and being on top of people. It's because they would just fall over after he punched them, and then he'd land on top. But against Gain here, the perfect 3-0 French fighter has a high-level Muay Thai acumen, Muay Thai champion, kickboxing champion, great jab on him. At 205, he's built like Anthony Joshua, the boxer. He's built like poster boy in there. Gain is. He is jacked. Little waist on him. If you were to put these guys side to side, when you see these guys stand off against each other, you're going to be like, oh, wow, one of those guys looks like he's cut from head to toe. And that's definitely Gain in there. He with his Muay Thai, he has a good jab. He knows how to set traps. He'll throw up head kicks every once in a while. With his takedown defense, the few takedowns I've seen in there, Gane hasn't fought high-level competition in there as well. His opponents haven't been too high up there. It's just
that you said Jared Cannonier?
I didn't. But
Jared
it is Cannonier. It is Cannonier. He is one of those. Great point, and he is Jack now. But isn't he down at 85 as well?
Yeah, I think he took a big jump.
He went from to 205 down to 85, so.
Oh my gosh. Out of the infinite amount of UFC fighters with the small amount of details I gave, I cannot believe I found that.
Good call.
I wouldn't have been able to move on.
So Gane here, being the high-level striker, if he tries to get it to the ground, he's had good, somewhat level takedown defense. Even he'll use his Muay Thai defense in there. But the few guys I've seen try to take him down, Gane uses that go-go choke or that 10-finger choke that Rockhold has landed on people, and so have other heavyweights, where he will sit on your neck and almost guillotine you without jumping for guard. He'll just sit on it and crunch and lift guys off of their legs. But this one should be pretty quick and easy. Gane doesn't have the biggest... He doesn't try to finish you, though, at 205 or at 265 like a lot of like Tyson. He picks you apart, which is much high-level striking acumen, especially at heavyweight. He goes in jab, jab, right hand, jab, jab, right hand, kick. And he doesn't go for that one-hitter-quitter poster boy style, where he's somebody who is going to keep winning fights, but once he gets into that top 6, once he starts hitting those wrestling levels, we're going to see a big drop-off. But this is not the guy. I know he's a debut, or I know it's a double debut, but it's a setup fight. I mean, and they're all heavyweights. The right hand could land, but I don't see this guy even having that right hand. Who do you have and why? Give me TKO round number 1.
Gane KO round 1, just because I caught the end of what you were saying after that whole wheat debacle.
I feel like this is pretty solid as well.
I'm not going to put it everywhere, though, because if they run out of gas in the first 2 minutes and it just is two big guys leaning on each other like London bridges, I ain't getting down like that.
That's where I actually think Gane doesn't do that as much, because he goes into 10-round fights, Muay Thai fights, where he keeps a pace. And he's not one of these guys who flashes in a pan. I've seen him go 2 rounds and not be dead. He's like, okay, I could keep kickboxing this guy, because he's a high-level kickboxer that knows takedown defense and a couple submissions. Again, the opponent here, though, is trash, so we don't really need to go into it.
I might put on more cards than I thought.
On to the main event.
You're selling me.
We're opening up the main card. Or actually, I need to go into the Draftkings, because I just wrote it off. Gane's going to be 9,400 for the minus 400 favorite against Pessoa's 6,800. You're not touching Rafael for anything. Gane, I'm going to have a couple underdogs. Luckily, I do. So I'm going to be able to put him in spots. I'm going to probably be on that like 60% level owned of Gane.
Huh. I won't be as high because I don't like the newbies.
Great point. Great point in there. And starting off the main card, we're not going to have newbies. We're going to have a couple of veterans in here against Enrique Barcelos, coming in against Bobby Moffitt. The 14-4 Moffitt's coming off of his first loss in the UFC.
How many fights makes you a veteran? 1?
3.
3. Okay.
Right? No?
I don't know. I'm asking you. You've been a fan way longer than me. That's a question I am like, you tell me, so I don't ever say it unless...
Well, some people will say 1. I'll say 3. So you're right. Bobby Moffitt's only technically fought twice in the UFC. 1 was a Contender Series fight. Would you consider that UFC caliber? No.
Is Under Pressure lights TV. It does have a lot of those aspects.
But his opponent's not a UFC caliber guy, hence him not being on the show.
That's kind of true, but I still think a lot of that, like, new time of why you would blow your wad
Sure.
would be there. I think a lot of that pressure is there, even though the level might not be up there, but...
So with Bobby Moffitt being a big underdog when he did
Moffitt,
debut.
Veteran.
Veteran to an extent.
To me, I would say.
He came in against Chad Skelly, and if there was ever a reason to call someone a veteran, it's you got to win a UFC fight, and then you got to win as an underdog. And Moffitt did that as a big underdog against Chad Skelly. Chad Skelly being a longtime veteran in there, having over 8 to 9 fights in there.
I thought I almost had Barzola's haircut.
You were getting close. Getting close. Barcelo's rolling in with that Fifth Element haircut in there. But Bobby Moffitt in there beating the veteran of Chad Skelly in a Darce choke. big underdog there. That was actually, went back and watched that, and it was the Black Iguana striking again. We had Herb Dean coming in. Chas Skelly fought the Darce by rolling to his back and allowing Moffitt to be under him. And then Chas Skelly closed his eyes and started to relax, to let loose and wiggle out of it. When Chas Skelly closed his eyes, Herb Dean grabbed his arm and said, he's out, he's out. And Chas Skelly was like, what? What? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And is literally not out at all. Bobby Moffitt then coming in against Bryce Mitchelling, losing a decision, not getting submitted against submission ace in there against Bryce Mitchell, but showing that the gas tank can be an issue for Bobby Moffitt in there. Bryce Mitchell on the ground just being a scramble fest striking wise. Bobby Moffitt has power, but after that second round, really starts to go downhill. And against a fighter like Barzola, we know what we get with this wrestler out of ATT, the Peruvian fighter. Has lost in the UFC against Kevin Aguilar as a favorite. Aguilar really showed the striking acumen there, the good takedown defense. But we've had Barzola beating all sorts of fighters like Bassett, Avila, Davis, using that sprawl and brawl to keep it striking. A good jab on Enrique. Tons of cardio. It's always been he's killed you by 1,000 cuts. Doesn't get too many finishes in there. He's not going to roll on the ground with you much. But he has great submission defense as well. So Bobby Moffitt is kind of tailor-made to lose this fight to me. He's a guy who can't get you out of there necessarily fast. And when he doesn't, he can start to wilt towards the end. And that's when Barzolas does his best work. Moffitt has a bit more power out of the two, but Barzolas has shown a granite chin in there for a long time. So I feel like there's a reason he's a decided favorite, and I think he stays exactly where he needs to in here. I think he avenges his first loss in the UFC against Bobby Moffitt. Give me the favorite in a decision. I think it could be a high score for Barzola too, because he will shoot for takedowns, not to necessarily go for the submission, just to finish the round in there. So I like his fight IQ.
When you say he's an epitome of a grinder, like that is what I think of when I think of Barzola. I have Barzola decision as well. I don't think he's a fight finisher, but I do think he is a guy that can lay down a lot of points. I think he has a good gas tank till the end, and he just keeps coming at you. So Barzola decision. Bobby Moffitt, he's kind of a one-trick pony, and I think Barzola's just he's better than that. Oh, he's better than that.
Very true.
That's the only lyric I know of that song.
I don't even know that song.
I feel like it's Destiny's Child or Beyonce or something. Or it's a commercial.
Minus 170 on Enrique Barzolas is 8,900 on DraftKings against Bobby Moffitt, the underdog, at 7,300. That's pretty steep over Barzola. He averages 78 points on DraftKings, and he really has to be getting them takedowns heavy, landing a lot of strikes, which he can. He has scored before 120 points, 170 points, 104, so he can get over that. He just needs a willing opponent, and I think Moffitt is that bag that he needs, that body.
I don't know if Moffitt's that tough, but I do think Barzola can lay down a lot of points, and I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. I don't think he's in any danger in this fight.
I don't think he's in too much danger either. I'm going to probably go like 20% Barzola, Moffitt, almost none. It's 0.
I'm going to go Moffitt 0, Barzola. Yeah, I like your 20. I might go a little bit higher than that.
On to 185 pounds. We have Oscar Pichota coming in against Rodolfo Vieira, the 5-0 perfect debut fighters coming out of the ACB. Out of what other fight leagues in there? Is it Jungle or Professional Shoot Brazil as well? The submission ace Vieira is coming in at 29 years old with all sorts of grappling acumen, beating people like Kit Dale, winning all sorts of heavy-duty tournaments, and definitely somebody that we're going to have to watch out for at 185 pounds. He didn't have to go to the Contender Series because they know what they wanted when they saw him. This is a bodied-up Vieira. If he pops, it's going to be in the States. It is not going to be in Uruguay, but just wait till you see the weigh-in.
Is this Gracie level stuff?
As far as jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Because you know I like a Polish fighter.
Yeah, I know you do, but
I'm gonna trust you on the newbie.
the new
The hashtag
breed.
newbie.
Vieira here, though, as I'm saying, I think that he's not passing my smell test. TJ Dillashaw might be like, "Hey, dude, what you doing, dude?" So, just saying, he is been a long time competitor on the ground. But what I absolutely love about Vieira's game is he has good feints, a heavy overhand right. He'll throw the nonchalant jab with a right and a kick. 2-level change, right for a single and a double leg, but they're really good. You know I watch people's takedowns. This guy has a good double and
here's the
single
other
leg
thing. This
takedown.
is just from a layman. This is just
Right.
layman, the smell test. Look at Vieira's ears. I'm going to point at them.
Sure.
Look at how much scar tissue's on them.
Oh, yeah.
And so that to me just says, oh, this guy comes into both sides. He's not like Khabib where he just has one big ear.
Oh, great point.
Or
I like that.
Maia. No, this guy comes in at both sides. Now, other point. Look at Pechota's ears. They are crystal clean.
Absolutely.
He's never had a cauliflower. That means that guy can go in from neither side.
and Pechota's known to be a submission guy. And look at their ears. Just saying, one's a Brazilian submission guy, one's a Polish. The scenes and maybe what's going out there. But some people just say wear headgear. So
I would never guess Pechota being a submission guy. I thought he was a knockout dude.
I could be wrong on there. He's had a couple submissions. TKO. Okay, maybe I'm wrong on
in his
there.
career. I don't know.
So either way, Vieira's takedowns, really high-level stuff in there. Once he gets to your back, I mean, he squishes you to death in there. I think this is a guy that we're going to see a lot of good stuff on, and he's coming in as a heavy favorite for a reason. If Meerschaert, your boy can get it done in there, I feel like the actual technical jiu-jitsu level, this guy would eat Meerschaert alive on the ground.
And he's going to be bodied up instead of like...
Right. And his striking, he doesn't... we don't worry about this guy with his striking. Vieira has just shown that he doesn't want to try to strike with people. Really high-level IQ in here. He knows what he wants to do. He's good in there. Again, Vieira's going to be a fun addition. Pechota has knocked out some people in there. If Meerschaert can do it, it's one-sided. Maybe I didn't go back enough on Pechota, but I remember not liking what I saw in there. He ended up winning his debut against Tim Williams, beating Jonathan Wilson as well in there via, what was it, TKO? Decision, TKO over Tim Williams, who's never been in the UFC again, I believe. So I don't think Pechota can keep those, although standing, his takedown defense isn't the best. Give me Vieira everywhere at 9,100 against Pechota 7,100. Do you think you're going to be playing Vieira anywhere on DraftKings?
Yeah, if you say so. You seem so strong about it. I'm doing it.
I'm
on board.
50% Vieira and probably 10% Pechota. But
10% Pechota?
maybe 5% Pechota, but I actually zero. I like that zero as well.
Okay.
But it's Vieira or nothing. Vieira or nothing.
I like that play.
So,
Vieira or nothing. I like it. It feels strong.
It is a strong play, but it can't be one of those 90% type of Nardiev type of bets. You know what I'm saying anymore. I learned my mistakes. So he is a UFC debuter. He hasn't fought UFC caliber, and Pechota has a bit. So maybe I'm not giving it respect. It's between him and Gain as a linchpin right now, and they're both debuters. How garbage is that?
Mine is the tiny tornado.
That's a safe play. That's a safe play. That's a safe play.
And that ain't doing me great lately, so I kind of like where your head's at.
We're trying to get some finishes. We're trying to get some finishes, and I have actually submission round number 1 for Vieira in this.
Me too, then.
So what does that mean? Put a bet on it? Put a bet on it. So, on to the 205-pound division. We have Volkan, No Time, Oezdemir coming in against Latifi. This has been rescheduled 2 to 3 times. Injury scheduling events. This just hasn't gotten through. We're finally getting it.
Who do you think's more attractive? They're both the same look. Beard, bald.
I'm more of that Oezdemir.
Me too.
I just
Me too.
It's Latifi is the same height. We're same as tall, but he's just twice as wide as me. I don't like that. He'll take up all the bedroom. All the bed space.
Give me the long, tall guy.
Give me the Eric Northman out of the two.
Yeah, he is a little Eric Northman. If you put some blonde hair on him and shave his face, I can see it. I can see it. He is a little vampire-esque.
Right, where you got the troll in Latifi, you got the fire hydrant in Latifi.
He's just a few hours south.
If we get lucky one of these days.
You'll be like, cousin.
Cousin, come here, cousin. So, with these guys, Volkan coming in with 3 losses in a row, being 19-4, losing 3 of those in the UFC, but they were against Anthony Smith, Daniel Cormier, and as of late, Polo Reyes in a split decision. A lot of people had Oezdemir winning that fight. I had Oezdemir, but hey, I bet Reyes, so I was happy, but just something to take into consideration. Takedown defense and striking, not looking so good for Reyes, and there was it Oezdemir just really showing out. This is a guy who's been training with the heaviest hitter for a long time. He's been over at ATT for a while, trained with Black Zillions, all those guys, but I know he's been at ATT over in South Florida for a bit. Against the All-Star Training Center, Latifi comes in with a heavy overhand right. The 14-6 fighter's coming off of a loss to Corey Anderson where he got out-wrestled nonstop. He's beat OSP. He's beat Pedro. Lost to Ryan Bader in here via disgusting knee. But in these fights that go, especially in the Corey Anderson fight, the later that we see this little fire hydrant go, the more he sits into an overhand right. He'll paw out a jab to an overhand right. A lot of people see it coming. If it hits you, it'll put you down. On the ground, he's a tank, but he's good on top once he's got a good wrestler on him. We've seen deficiencies in the freaking little fire hydrant Latifi's game. We're not going to see Oezdemir do this. He's more of an at-range striker, uses takedown defense to keep it striking. And at distance, Ozdemir's the better fighter. In the clinch, Ozdemir's the better fighter. And that in here is where potentially it gets really greasy for me. Because Oezdemir, I think, is going to want to land the inside uppercuts, which he likes a lot, and or a knee, which Ryan Bader landed, but it was at distance. I think one of those is the key shots against Latifi to really hurt him in there, if it's not just the wrestling, which I don't see Oezdemir doing. But in that clinch, Latifi's so powerful that he can have somebody have that Muay Thai plum and he'll still throw a right that'll knock you senseless. But Oezdemir has shown a solid chin in there, and Anthony Johnson wasn't able to knock him out after a while. So I gotta say, Latifi's in that range of power. So if it goes for shot in the clinch, I think Oezdemir comes out the winner of these. Give me Gazin for a decision. I think he lands the harder shots and then it turns into an at range. I could see the finish being out of the two. Maybe Oezdemir. I'm going to be split here. I'm going to go probably 40-20%, 40% Oezdemir, 20% for Latifi. Give me the slight favorite here. Who do you have in this fight and why?
I like Oezdemir as well. I just think he's the new breed. Not the new breed, but the new breed of fighter. Latifi's just a guy that's kind of getting past his prime, but because he looks so good and looks good for his age, we forget that he's getting up there. He's 36 years old. He's like a stocky dude, like just a stocky dad. And the one question I had is, who does Latifi have any wrestling?
Latifi has good takedown defense, but it's because he's so short.
Okay, so he's not going to try to take Oezdemir down. Because I worry about Ozdemir's takedown defense. That's the only issue that I really have with him. I kind of love him everywhere else. And if a guy wants to stand and bang with him, Ozdemir's going to win. But all the guys that typically have been beating Oezdemir, even the way that Dominic Reyes, even though I think Oezdemir also won, he was quieted. And I think that anyone that wants to take him down or get close enough and just tire him out and pull on his arms, he does tend to lose a lot of his power. If Latifi's not going to give me any of that, I got Oezdemir for a knockout in round 2. But if Latifi, I just feel like if I'm going to fight Oezdemir, if you hang on his arms a little bit, I hope Oezdemir is still getting better. He's only 29 years old, and I've liked everything I've seen so far. He is training down in South Florida with the greats right now. I like Oezdemir, and I'm going to put him on a lot of places. Oezdemir, KO, round 2. Even if it goes to decision, he is a guy that likes to throw. So I think those points will be up there even for the bigger guys.
I'm like what you're saying there. For the slight favorite in Oezdemir, you're going to end up paying $8,500 on Draftkings against $7,700 for Latifi. Again, I'm thinking it's going to be a 40-20 split just because Latifi's always got that cracking power.
What's Latifi? I just don't feel like he's a point getter.
7-7. Yeah, he averages 64 points.
Yeah.
Because when he wins, it's 100, it's 84 points. But when he loses, it's 14. When he loses, it's pretty rough.
I'm kind of over. I'm hoping this is an Oezdemir fight.
I agree. I think I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to the underdog in that spot in there. Anything left with those fighters?
No.
On to an interesting bout. As we were giving heat last week to the debut fighters being on the main card, I feel like we can put a little bit of shade on this one as well. In Humberto Bandenet against debuter Luis Eduardo Grigori. These 145ers are coming in with a debuter that's 12-0 against a fighter who has won only once in the UFC and then lost his last two. So someone who's essentially holding on to his contract right now at 145. Like, this is make it or break it for him in Bandenet. So I just see, like, many other people, Gilbert Burns being easily put up there. I just see Tisha Torres versus Rodriguez with multiple fights being put up there other than these guys right now. So just making...
Even just swapping spots with Oezdemir versus Latifi.
100% agreed. If we're good, we're got to be equal opportunity offenders here.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those where Bandenet does have, I believe, some Latin America tough house ties as well, but is somebody who has really underperformed.
You make a nickname for Humberto Bandenet right now.
Bandy? Humberto Bandy Bandenet.
Bandit gay.
Oh! You can say that. You can say that. I can't say that. It's a hate crime if I say that.
I would call it, what about Humberto Dumpty?
That would be more fitting, honestly. That would definitely be much more fitting. But Humberto in there has definitely fallen off of that ledge multiple times. Came in as a big prospect, beating Bravo in there in a body shot. He's got some heavy duty left body kicks. Against Benitez, Benitez was like, oh yeah, I'll show you all about that, and ended up slamming him in a finish. Then after that, we had a loss to Austin Arnett in a decision. Bandenet has just proven that his gas tank has always been his biggest weakness. And if he can't get you out of there fast, he essentially gave up. Went back and watched that Arnett fight, and Arnett that third round did anything and everything he wanted to. Bandenet didn't. He half attempted strikes, but he was so gassed at that point that it was just like, you can't bet on Bandenet. He's somebody who will...
you are right. I just looked back at my record, and every time I bet on him, I lose.
Exactly. He just does... he was supposed to be, when he finishes you in the first minute with body shots, yeah, for sure. But if he doesn't, he is not a good... He's a bad front runner once he gets out of there. But against this debut fighter, I ended up watching Grigori's fights in there, and they were against such low-level competition. He had an 0-0 fighter 3 fights ago. 3 fights ago, he fought somebody with no experience as a pro, and then he
his last fight, and the fight before.
Cheese and
You're
rice.
Right. Like, the last 2 fights were against you and I.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
The same record.
Same exact same, and he beat them via submission, leg lock, via some... it was just TKO punches. Ended up watching those. It was somebody with their cell phone, and he was the local favorite in there. He is Uruguayan. So there's a reason. We got a hometown boy in here. And if there's a setup fight, maybe I'm starting to read between the lines the more I'm looking at it. But here in Luis, he doesn't have good takedowns. He has hard punches, but he doesn't really set them up. Against his opponents, he's able to bowl them over as well. It wasn't really high-level shots in there. On the ground scrambles, when he was jumping back for some of those leg submissions, they were garbage. They were absolute trash, but his opponent was so low level that they didn't understand and were just like, oh, wait, okay, you got it. Bandenet is going to have much better submission, defense, and offense. Striking-wise, he's going to be much more game here, even if it is only for 2 minutes. I think that the lines are still off.
I think they're listening to us, and they at least put a hometown guy on the main card.
That's actually a great point. But isn't Valentina have Uruguayan ties?
I don't know, but what about am I crazy? Is Ponzinibbio?
I think he's Argentinian.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry.
So, around that area, but they could easily stack it with some other Argentines
Maybe
in
he
here.
fought in Uruguay last time.
No, this is the first time they're in Uruguay.
No, is it?
Yeah, this is the first time.
Huh. I feel like the sun is on the Argentinian flag, too.
I believe you're right. And it's blue stripes, white and blue stripes.
I think that's this flag.
No, he has it right here. They have... But theirs is different.
Yeah, I think they're
same,
both
same,
a little
but different.
but
Same, but different.
But different. But I think one of them has it in the middle with other things behind it, and one of them...
That might be the
But
Argentinian
interesting
one.
with the sun. They're not serpent or eagle. Conspiracy, look into it.
Look into that. So if you're looking into the conspiracy here, they're trying to give the local a win here. And if he gets into the second round, he has a real shot. But he has to get out of that first round. I have decision because I'm saying that it's going to go there. But Bandonet's live for that first round for a TKO, especially with the level of kicks that he has. Oh... I can't pick Bandonet because he screwed me over, especially with as bad of a gas tank as he's shown before. But I don't see anything I really like from Eduardo. I don't think he wins a lot of other fights in here. I'm going to go with Eduardo. This is a big, fat stay away on the main card. We don't do too many of these, but I'm going to actually probably put Bandonet as far as Draftkings on a couple spots. Ugh. This is a gross fight.
I got Bandonet knockout in round 1. I don't understand how Gregaria is a favorite anywhere. I'm like, are you kidding me? He has his combined last 2 fights don't even have... Austin Arnett is a decent fighter, and Gabriel Benitez, and then King of the Cage, Martin. 3rd fight in the UFC. The other 2 guys has 0 record. I gotta go with Bandonet.
Right, out of principle.
Just out of respect.
Right.
Just out of respect. Nothing to the hometown guy. And I don't even expect it to go to decision. I just feel like this is where Humberto Bandonet gets to set loose. This is to save it so he's not on a 3-0 losing streak. Give me Bandonet. He has F'd me a few times. I'm 1-2 on Bandonet right now. So this is the one that's going to make me 50-50 Bandonet KO round 1.
I like what you're saying. Out of the 2, I got to pick Bandonet as far as Draftkings. And for the slight debuting fighter being a minus 135 favorite against the now veteran plus 105.
Bandonet is a veteran.
Bandonet though has just shit the bed so many times. We're gonna end up paying for the debut 8,400 against 7,800 for Bandonet. I can only play Bandonet out of the 2 there.
I only see myself doing it. I'm going to stay far, far away from Grigori.
Yeah, that's a dirty-ass fight. Dirty-ass fight. We're going to be able to make ourselves clean of it in a trial by fire at 170 pounds. We have a co-main event. That is hot fire. We're going to get burned in the fire because this is going to be a good one. This is a profile fight. This is in the right spot. We got Platinum Mike Perry coming in against Vincente Luque. We got Luque being a hometown favorite here in Florida. Both of these boys being Floridians, flying down. But I got a signature for Vincente Luque, so you know I'm going to be signed. You know I'm swayed. You know I'm already off. You know I'm already not going to be breaking it down right.
For all of our people that listen to us, they know we've been on Luque as hard as we've been on Usman forever.
Yes.
Like, it's no surprise here. I almost feel like even the breakdown of it should be no surprise where we're leaning on this fight.
Right, you should already know.
You should know. But I feel like any educated UFC fan, they should know too. If you're a fly-by-night UFC fan and you're like, if I said something like, hey, they're like, what are you doing this weekend? And I'm like, oh, I'm watching UFC. And they're like, oh, I watch Ronda Rousey. They might like Mike Perry fights. Like
very true.
They're always very exciting. They might even know who he is. Even if it's not he's just such a character in there. But Luque, he's the assassin. That's what his name should be. He's a silent assassin. No one even knows he's coming up the division.
That is his nickname.
Good thing.
Did you really make that up? Did you make that up on the spot?
I was so clever. I'm like, this guy, the reason his name should be that is because he's sneaking up the division.
You're good. You're crafty.
I'm feeling it.
You're feeling it. So
he's on the right track.
The 13-4 Platinum Mike Perry's getting back his win after Donald Cerrone last beating Alex Oliveira in a decision in a fight of the night in Fort Lauderdale. We watched that fight. It was all sorts of hype. We were dancing on the way in. We had Oliveira doing all sorts of dick kicks, trying all sorts of tactics, but Perry got it done in Florida. The crowd went wild. 3 months ago. We know what we're getting with Perry. He's a boxer. Okay, take down the fence. On the ground, really has a lot of deficiencies. We saw it against Donald Cerrone. We know what we're getting with Perry. He comes in throwing bombs and was willing to just scrap in there. And at times, Vincente Luque's gone in there and just scrapped. He's gotten hurt in a couple of his fights, and that's the limited stuff I've really not liked to see sometimes from Luque, is sometimes he knows he has power, so he comes in swinging with that hard left, throwing a kick in there, because he's not worried about going to the ground. If Vincente Luque gets on his back, he's like, okay, I'll just triangle you or Garcia all day. Again, the silent assassin loves the Darce choke. Loves to get it done in there. Now with his TKOs, he can get hurt though, so I hope his fight IQ stays in it. He does have a loss in the UFC against Leon Edwards, and it was because of that gas tank. He did fly across the pond. He did say that affected him a bit. He is going to be flying from Florida here.
And now that we've learned about Leon Edwards, is he's no MF joke, and he is a silent assassin sneaking up the division.
As well. But we don't have to worry about that against Perry. We just have to worry about that one punch knockout here. But if Vincente does anything right, he just takes this right to the ground, finishes them, nobody gets hurt, everyone gets paid, and they both get a fight in another 3 months. But I got Luque having the advantage everywhere here. I hope he takes it down. I think Perry's going to give a good show of himself initially, but eventually it gets there. Give me a submission round number 2 for Luque against Platinum Mike Perry.
If they were smart, what you're saying would happen. But Mike Perry is not smart, and they are going to go in there and bang. And I think the first round of the fight is going to be one for the ages. You're going to be on the edge of your seat. It's going to be fight of the night. It's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a slugfest. Both guys is going to get hurt. If Mike Perry's smart, he doesn't follow Luque down when he hurts him, because I think he can do that too. Luque just is a well-rounded package. He actually has better striking than Oezdemir and a less ground game. In my opinion, it's like of the black zillions.
Less wrestling.
Less wrestling.
Right.
Yeah. But I actually like his striking a lot more. I think it's more solid. I like the way he covers up. And, I think this is a real dangerous fight for Mike Perry. And I kind of see Mike Perry already setting himself up with a Mickey Gall fight afterward. And frankly, that's more the lane Mike Perry's in, is the Mickey Gall lane. Nothing against him, but Luque is that next level guy. He's top 5 in the division as far as I'm concerned. And Mike Perry I don't see him ever getting there. So give me Luque, submission round 2. And the only reason I see submission, I think he could knock him out too and slice him up and pick him apart where he eventually can knock him out. But I think Luque actually is so much better than Perry that he takes pity at some point and just submits it and ends it. But I could even see the submission coming at the end of round 1.
I could see it at the end of round 1. But we both have 2, so that's putting a bet on it. We're going to end up paying for the minus 225 favorite Vincente Luque 9,000 on DraftKings against Platinum Mike Perry 7,200
everywhere.
I agree. Even raw power. Vincente Luque's got raw ass power.
I want to give maybe hands. I think Luque. Nope. And I think even build. He has that Dan Henderson build where it doesn't look like it's that big, but it's just like pure muscle.
5-inch reach advantage over Mike Perry, and they're both the same size. They're both the same height at 5'10".
And you don't you feel like Luque was your size?
Right?
Don't you feel like you were the exact same size?
I didn't think I was that much shorter than Luque.
No, I felt like even build. I didn't feel like he was all I didn't think he
I had when
round.
I was younger in the days, but it's a grind. It's a grind to be in there being a fighter, and those motherfuckers are tough.
You're an old man now, but Luque.
Hey, we ain't
And he was with a sexy lady.
That he was. But
he's a sexy dude. I think we always underrate his sexiness.
I cannot believe that people are asking all these other fighters, and there's Luque standing by himself, and not one person ever went up to him. And we watched him from a distance for half an hour.
If you watch Heroes, the television show, or Star Trek, the movie, this guy who plays Spock, that's what Vincente looks like to me.
He's a stunt double. Yeah. Vincente's a stunt double.
Sexier.
Well, by far.
And Mike Perry, he's fun for what he is, but when I think of a Florida dude, I think of a Mike Perry.
Also the truth there. So do you see yourself playing Vincente Luque at 9,000?
He could be my linchpin. I have to see what I can afford. What's the price?
9,000 on DraftKings against 7-2.
Oh yeah, Luque for 9,000. That's your pick.
The winning.
come on.
I feel like I'm going to end up playing him on, like, again, 50, 60%. I can't do 90% anymore. It's not smart just to have that much a level to someone. But some people might do a 90% type of a bet on Valentina Shevchenko against Liz the Gorilla Carmouche, former Marine in there, first time openly gay activist in the not activist, just openly gay in the UFC, and nobody ever really cared.
She looks a little muff, everyone.
Yeah,
it's not fucking.
It's not the worst thing in the. Well, they just never gave her credit for it.
Yeah, she got no credit.
She got no credit, and then they made a big deal about other stuff. Come on, Gorilla.
They were like, well, they just say Amanda's the first gay champion.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So, Liz, you the first gay. one small step for gay.
But these ladies have fought once before, long ago, on short notice. We had Liz coming in and winning via doctor stoppage cut against Valentina in there. It was an elbow that got it done. But since then, they've had far different careers. Liz has been in that top contenders. She has fought in the first bout ever against the champ, Ronda Rousey, then ended up losing and has then been in that title contention, but always a fight away. Now she's getting another shot. She finally made it back off of a 2-fight winning streak. She lost a split decision to Alexis Davis 3 fights ago, but she last beat Jennifer Maia in a decision, and prior to that, Lucy Pudilova in a decision. And that level of fighter right now, the fact that Liz Carmouche is going to a decision with those type of fighters has just been a testament to her fight IQ. It's Liz Carmouche has always had power, has always had a great ground game, but doesn't go to her takedowns enough. She has good takedowns. Her cardio hasn't been the absolute best. And it's in some fights she has good IQ, and others she doesn't. And it tends to be due to the opponent. And with the opponent like Valentina Shevchenko, Baby Chev, as we like to say around here, you can't think straight. That hot sauce got you going, and Shevchenko just puts a pace on you to now allow that offense, not allow you to think. She's coming at you with 4 or 5 punch combinations, throwing over 100 strikes nonstop, easy, coming at you on the ground. We haven't seen much of her game. She submitted some lower level like Kunitskaya in there, but she's been fighting nothing but the top echelon, beating Joanna Jędrzejczyk, last killing Jessica in there. I mean, that's going to be a highlight. I was just seeing it again lately, nonstop.
She's really the only person that survived going the distance with Amanda Nunes twice.
And losing split decision in there against her. So some people having it in there. Again, all the way around, Shevchenko's a better fighter other than the power. The raw power Liz Carmouche has on the feet. But that's a 1 punch. But that's so Liz Carmouche has to eat 7 to 8 punches to maybe land one, and then more than likely won't, because Valentina Shevchenko's defense is top notch. It's why we've always loved Shev. It's because she can hit without getting hit. Yeah, after a 5-round fight, she'll have a couple bruises in there, but it is rare.
She'll have a swollen forehead.
Yeah, but it's not
All
that
the Polish
bad.
girls.
So Liz Carmouche, unless she gets another elbow in there and cut, unless it's another doctor stoppage, I just really don't see Liz Carmouche winning here. I don't see the takedowns developing, because Shevchenko has great takedown defense, and even on the ground I think Shevchenko would hold her own. But as far as striking, Liz Carmouche will throw a kick every once in a while, but it's 1 and 2 punch combinations, and against the level of striker of Shevchenko, that's child's play. And Liz Carmouche is not grown in her striking acumen. She's still a decision level striker
And
against the champ.
yeah, I think Val's going to end up being one of the greats of all time. She's going to be in the pound for pound list. Where do you even go with this? What do you even say?
So it's a 5-rounder at 125. So it's going to give Valentina a lot of time to accumulate a lot of points, and she has that level of gas tank to be able to throw that amount of level. I mean, against Correa, 139 points. Against Jędrzejczyk, 108. Against Jessica I, 1-3, 92. Against Nunes has been her worst showing, and it was 27 points. Sarah Kaufman.
And that was probably the first
But
time.
that's Amanda Nunes, the pound for pound,
Yeah.
a legend, a Hall of Famer. So again, as you're saying, Shevchenko's going to be a Hall of Famer in here as well. I feel like she can accumulate stacks of points, but it's going to be hard to pay up. She started as a minus 600 and is now ballooned to an over 1,100 favorite. There's no odds. 11 to 1 odds. Like, you can't put money on that.
There's no reason to.
There's no reason, just because
It's only worth it if you got Dana White money.
Yeah, it's just...
You got to drop so much on it.
Exactly. What you got to wish is that she slips on a banana peel on the way in and Liz Carmouche wins disqualification. Actually, the real bet is if Herb Dean fucks this up. That's the real bet, because that's the only way it goes.
I just can't even picture it going to decision at all. I even, like you were saying, the cardio of Liz Carmouche, I just feel like everywhere, Shevchenko's better. Everywhere. There isn't one place, maybe even power. I'm like...
I don't think power.
It's questionable to me. I just don't see where Liz is knocking people out. I think her build might look more powerful, but I just don't think her punch style, and she doesn't lay any kicks. She just kind of turtle shells and comes forward the whole time. And I just don't think you can do that with Shevchenko.
Agreed.
We are on two totally different planes. Give me Shevchenko everywhere I can afford her.
It's going to be a steep one. You're paying, top dollar on the betting lines and on DraftKings, 9,600 against the underdog. Liz Carmouche at 6,600. You can't touch Carmouche anywhere here. We like to play a lot of these underdogs in close fights and
especially for a five-rounder, if you see it going to decision, but...
Yeah, but no, if Liz Carmouche in a 5-round fight could easily just get 12 points. If that. So I agree. If you're going to play either one of these fighters, it's going to be Shevchenko, but she's going to be a little too heavy. I feel like she might not necessarily be on the first place cards, because I see a lot of finishes for underdogs throughout the night. So that I see a lot, honestly. I feel like I'm surprised as many underdogs that I have, or just finishes in general. So I'm going to be playing like that Vera and Gain in there, because those guys are fighting bums. So I'm just playing the bum aspect there. So it's going to be hard.
And no offense to Gain or Gagne or whatever his name is, Gagne West, he's only fought 3 fights.
True.
So
true.
No, when compared to my queen,
very
Shevchenko, she's earned her spot. If I can afford her, I will put her on every spot I can afford her. I don't see anyone in the realm that's as safe as a bet as that. And that maybe it's safety. That's what the 11 to 1 odds is.
So would she be safer than Tisha Torres?
Yeah. If you can afford, if you have that much to spend and you got to pick one of them, Shevchenko.
But it would be hacky for us to put Shevchenko as a linchpin, right? Like the most favorited fighter on the card.
Yeah, because who can afford her on everything?
Exactly.
But she'll have a little crown on.
For sure.
She'll have a sash.
Ooh.
She'll have arrows pointed to her that say, "My girl."
I can't wait for those graphics to come out. Girl. It's going to be a fun one. If you're out there and you want to put up your card, we'll give it a retweet at LaTB_MMA on Twitter. Be sure to look, because we're going to be posting these for you guys as well. We've been getting them out a little bit earlier, and it's been working out for us. Again, we're loving all the new subscriptions as of late. We're seeing it. We're trying to get it out there to you. We got another week right around the corner.
Hello, Stitcher. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Stitcher audience.
Thank you, Stitcher audience, very much. But here, next week, we're going to have a pay-per-view, so we're going to hit the ground running, but we got to do weigh-ins. Be sure you're following wherever you can. We got
ahead
stuff
of
coming.
time, I just want to tell you, because I'm going to be out of town, we might not come out with the show Sunday.
The morning after, we're going to have to skip that pill.
Yeah, we might have to skip this one, but we might come out with a short or something. If there's like some kookiness, or like if Shevchenko ends up losing, we might do like a 10-minute short. But
sure.
It's not going to be a full show. So just so you know, that's why it behooves you to like and subscribe on YouTube. Because if you're missing us on that morning after show, the only place that short will come out will be on our YouTube channel. We won't be releasing it as a podcast. So we will miss you, but we will see you Wednesday for the pay-per-view breakdown. Who's the pay-per-view?
Guaranteed.
We always leave it like this. Who's the headliner?
For that pay-per-view?
Yeah. DC Stipe?
There it is. 2.
Where are you at right now?
DC, baby.
Oh, I'm Stipe right now.
Let's go. Let me.